We found that gym owners had so many systems and they duct taped them all. They had a phone
Yes.
system, they had an email system, they had a text system, they had personal phones with the clients, they had something for leads, then they have something for member management. It was crazy. And then they have Slack to have internal communications or Facebook Messenger. It's just one after the other, after the other, after the other. And then they have spreadsheets to maintain their tasks. And then have another spreadsheet. It's just like, how do I get all of this to work? And my job, like think about it from a coach's view, my job is to train, but I need to do all of this thing.
Welcome to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs podcast. My name is Scott Carpenter. I am a personal trainer turned multiple gym owner and investor who's already been through the rock bottom and near bankruptcy in the fitness business. But I've been lucky enough to come out the other side and have turned the profits of my fitness business into indestructible wealth. I'll be sharing the no bullshit strategies, tactics, and advice to win big in business and in life. So if you're a gym owner, a personal trainer, or an online coach who wants to make multiple six figures in take-home profit and have the freedom with your time to actually enjoy it, subscribe now to this podcast. This is the show for you. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Profit Lifestyle for Fitness Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Scott Carpenter. Today, I've got somebody very special. I've got the most connected man in fitness, Sumit Seth, and he is the CEO of NAAMLY. That's NAAMLY software. And Sumit, it's awesome to have you on. We go back a long, long way to when you first got into the fitness industry.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I can't believe it's been almost a decade or more, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, it's whoa, has it really been?
It
You're
really
probably
has
right.
been. I was just thinking, when did I last, well, when did I
Wow.
sell my last company? When did I move over to Phoenix? And when did I actually start off at your gym? And that's been over a decade, man.
That's absolutely crazy now that I think about it. And I mean, so guys, listeners, so Sumit even knows, if you've heard the story of when I hit some really rough patches, when I had that one employee that absolutely killed two of my locations and I was in a really bad spot. Sumit had first met him, that person. We talked about this because we both spoke at the Business of Strength podcast a couple weeks ago. And it's funny, we were kind of talking about that on stage about this. And guys, Sumit is a wealth of knowledge, but yeah, we go back. So about, 10 years or something like that.
I know, and time is really flowing by. Yes, now that you mention it, it's been a wild ride for sure. I mean, it's
Oh,
great
yeah.
to see how
Yep.
you've also navigated, how you've grown, and how you've created so many different businesses out of your own gym, which is amazing to see, Scott. Seriously.
Yeah. And Sumit was, he was a client at one of my gyms as well. And at that time, you started building what today is NAAMLY.
That is absolutely right. That is absolutely right. And a lot of that was based off of my own interactions, well, with that employee, and based off of that interaction, because I was like, well, he would say the right things, and he would say, "How you doing? What are you having?" But once out of sight, it was like, I don't get any love. I don't get any attention. When you meet me, it's like, yes, I care about you, but when I'm not there, I was starting to think, do you really care about me? Is it just you
Mhm.
making money off of, we were doing personal training, one-on-one sessions. And so I remember, and then I had that sit down with him. He's like, no, no, I do. I've got so much to do. And out of sight becomes out of mind. And I bought into that. And I was like, oh, we could fix that through technology. And that's how Namli was seeded. And then I remember he introduced me to you as your business partner, and different story for a different time.
Yeah.
Because till then I thought he was one of the
Yeah.
owners.
He was an owner. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and then you started giving us great inputs and great insights. Like, oh, this is a lot more in depth. And now I started to see lens from a true business perspective. And I remember, I forget the name of that place where we would hang out for lunch or
It
every
was Trist Cafe in Desert Ridge.
Trish Cafe at Desert
Yes.
Ridge. It was an amazing place close to you guys. Would go down there and then we would just eat and then discuss and talk about stuff. And that's how Anomaly 1.0 was born. That is
Yeah.
absolutely right, Scott.
Yeah, and so guys, Sumit is he went into the weeds and built an amazing tool and software that really specializes on the coach client connection, which is where a lot of us struggle because we have a lot of members, we have a lot of clients, and it's difficult to give them a lot of the love because a lot of us are working through our employees too. Now, as business owners, we do a better job, but man, we can't do it all. And the problem is we can tell an employee what we want them to do and how they want to check in and how many of them actually do it.
True.
And that lack of transparency and knowing if they're actually doing it and following through, like none of us really like to manage people and like look through to make sure things are done. And so, I mean, Sumit has really gone into the weeds to create the best platform to do that with a lot of transparency, making sure things are the net effect is what he has built pays for itself because it'll help your retention drastically. And at the Business of Strength podcast because that's Dan Goodman and Joe Riggio, right? Awesome guys. They invited both of us to speak there. What were the statistics on how you help? They've got multiple locations like I do. What were the statistics on their retention from when they started to take your lead, use your software, how it should be used? Because I can't quite remember the exact numbers, but it perked up my ears. I'm like, holy shit. Because it wasn't even you that said it. It was Joe that said it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's so great. It's like this, right? If someone else says it, it creates so much more credibility.
Yeah.
And that worked perfect. I had no idea that Dan and Joe would share that, but they did. And there are some of the few gym owners that really track their numbers, which makes it so much easier for companies like us to be like, oh, yeah, we are making a difference. We know we do, but it's not anecdotal, it's statistics. So Dan had shared that he was in double digits from an attrition perspective. They got 3 locations. They have about 600 odd members. Now let that sink in for a bit. If you say 10% attrition, that means month on month, they're losing 60 members. And back of the envelope, if they are charging, let's say, $300, so 350, 400, that's their range. But let's just go with the bare minimum at $300 a pop. So they're losing 60 times 300 and dollars per month. Now, after using NAAMLY, putting in the checks and balances that in the playbooks, I mean, they did the work. We made it easier for them. We're a tool. We made it easier for them to use it. Their attrition came down to 5 point some percent. I think he said 5.7 or 5.4, and I'm hazy on the point there. But let's just say we just broke it down to 50%. That means we're saving 30 new members, or not new, 30 net members per month now. And that's a humongous amount. Just do the math again. 30 times 30, 300 is $9,000. That's what's happening. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's so huge. When Joe, mentioned those numbers, I'm like, wow. And they've got one giant location, to give everybody context, that's huge. That's not replicable in different markets, right?
Correct.
And then the other 2 were smaller studios, not too unlike mine or like what's typical. So they have one that's just a huge monster, and then the additional locations, they're intended to be smaller. But that's a lot of members, right? 600 members, and you do the math on little things like that, it is substantial. And the cool thing about this, guys, is that Dan and Joe are really good operators.
Yep.
They are really good operators. And it's not like they were doing nothing on the retention side or anything like that either, right? This just helped take it to the next level and did it where there's transparency, and it did it where they can see if their people are doing the work. And again, this is what Sumit has developed over a period of a decade, is what is the best way to kind of do this? So Sumit, do you want to give everybody kind of an overview on like how what you created does something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for how does it happen? So if you think about it, Scott, like we overcomplicate business, right?
Yes.
Business in the very simplistic way, it depends upon what lens you look at it, but it's acquire clients and keep them, right? It's as simple as that. If you can keep them and make the financials work, you're not running a charity. Of course, you can acquire clients and pay $100 and just charge them $10 and be like, yeah, I'm, it doesn't work that way. But long story reasonably short, it's acquire clients and make sure that they stay longer and pay longer. That's your business in a nutshell, making sure that the financial works out. Now, if you were to go down deeper, there are really three key levers to pull. Lever number one is acquisition. I need more clients. That's a lifeline. Absolutely. You need leads. You need those leads to convert. Now you got members. Lever two is retention because you want those members to stay
Mhm.
longer and pay longer. And then lever three, which we all forget about, is how do I increase the ARPU, which is the average revenue per unit, which per member, ARM. How do I get them to pay more? Not only stay longer and pay longer, but get them to pay more by buying additional swag from us, buying additional programs from us, upselling, what have you. And those are your three levers. And we decided long time ago, just because our focus has always been on coach client connection and also marketing doesn't. I'm an operator myself. I was an operator in my prior business. So the operation sides of me appeals to me more. So for me, it became like, how
Mhm.
do I get to focus in on the one area that seems to be neglected by every single small business owner? Because there's something to be said about taking responsibility to say, I can fix this. This is on me. Because the go-to thought process you go through is the go-to escape is, well, they were not a good fit. They really didn't want me.
Yeah.
It's really them. And we forget it's really the product. Somewhere the product or the process or the people, those three P's, people, process, product, you need to look at one of those three, again, levers from a different lens to see what do we need to fix to move us to the next level. So that's what we did. We zoned in based off of my own experience working with your employee and then other gyms that I started going around. I was like, because earlier on I was like, is this an anomaly or is this the way most gyms work? And once we
Mhm.
did that proof of concept at your gym, I was like, okay, I feel good about it, but hopefully there's a bigger market because this is not going to sustain if it's just Scott's gyms. So that's what we did. And then when we went around the circuit, we got to meet a lot of other great gym owners, people who have their own masterminds, and we were very lucky that we were the only ones that were talking about retention and engagement and how to bring that in. And we stood out because everyone else would just talk
Yeah.
about leads. We went in and we were able to make that distinction, especially for the operators that track their numbers. And Dan and Joe are not outliers. They are the norm for people that use NAAMLY. I mean, a shameless plug, but that is exactly what ends up happening because
Mhm.
they're doing the work. We just make it so much easier and we simplify it and systemize that process. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's really the crucial thing is you can build an SOP in a system, but like, is it being done?
Yes.
That's the challenging part, right? And that's kind of the software that you built really enables that to be easy. One thing that I love about your story too, and you pivoted into the fitness industry, and I'm big on learning from people outside of the fitness industry because quite often we're just so siloed,
True.
right? And it's just the same information and the same information, and some of the best ideas come from industries outside of the fitness industry, right? And so I am in masterminds. I go to events on totally different things because there's some brilliant stuff out there that can be modified and adapted to the fitness industry. And your experience operating a business um, was not in the fitness industry,
It
and
wasn't.
you so Sumit was very successful in building a company and selling it. So he built a very successful company and sold it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. So and that there is a uh, uh, component of fitness and healthcare there too, because I've done hospital and healthcare management. So my wife comes from a whole lineage of doctors, and for the longest time, we genuinely believe that mainstream healthcare is healthcare. And when I built that company, we were providing human capital to Fortune 500 companies, be it tech and or pharmaceutical companies, life sciences companies across the board. And our goal was let's just provide them great talent because at the end of the day, no different than fitness, but just at a broader scale, you're always in the relationship and result business. Like, how do I build great relationships with the people that you both employ and the people you serve, right? And at the end of the day, you also want to make sure you get results for both of them because if you don't do that, then the business will fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
So year after year, our whole goal was can we just do a little bit better, a little bit better? And there came a time when, based off of the pieces that we had put together, we were growing 40% year on year. And
Wow.
yes, it was crazy. And not as small numbers, right? It started really slow because we were always perfecting it, understanding it, learning it. And and we were ignorant as well. Sometimes when you get started, you just don't know better. You just sit down and you're like, I just need to put one foot after the other, and you learn as you go along. But we were students of the game. We did that, and then when I finally exited the business, we were doing $10 million a month in revenue. So imagine we were growing 40% cumulative annually, year after year for the last 6 or 7 years. So we were just pretty much going boom, boom, boom. But at the same time, that came at its expense, right? Like it was just not all hunky dory. I was always traveling. We were opening up centers in India. We were opening centers up in Europe. We were opening up offices across the US. And don't get me wrong, I was loving it. There was definitely a high about seeing your baby
Mm-hmm.
grow, but it was coming at the expense of my relationship with my wife, college sweetheart. We married, we knew each other, but we were just getting very distant from each other. I did not know my kids from Adam. Like they didn't know me. I was just traveling all the time, working all the time, enjoying it. So I won't say I wasn't enjoying it, but there just came a time, Scott. I remember this very distinctly. I had just come back from India after setting up another office there. I was there for about 2, 3 months because it takes time to
Wow.
get the right leader in and do things, and we had to get it right because we just landed another big project. And I came in, and my wife had just come down and sat by my side, in her gown, in her morning gown, and I saw my kid when he saw me he kind of gave me this weird look, which at that time I interpreted as, who are you? Who are you to sit by my mom like that? He didn't say nothing. He was too
Mm-hmm.
small, and but that just gnawed at me. I was like, shit. Like, what the hell? Like, my whole family doesn't know me. My kids don't know me. I was making a lot of money, but it was that turning moment for me. It's like, I can't do this. And my health was also going down the gutters. I was meeting up a lot of doctors. I was perpetually stressed, sleep deprived, um, and I was beginning having this cough that wouldn't go away, and it was just bad, man. It was just bad, bad, bad. That's when I decided I need to change something. Decided to exit the business, made some money, sold that business. I was in San Diego then, came over to Phoenix, found myself a personal trainer, which happened to be at your gym, and that's how I went about. I think NAAMLY found me then. That's what
Yeah.
happened. So that's exactly what happened. Working with that coach definitely helped me to regain my mental fitment. Physically, the cuff went away, and that's when I really realized, holy moly, like this fitness is true healthcare. And what I was thinking as healthcare all along,
Mm-hmm.
that's really sick care. Like, what the hell? And that was another great moment in these fork in the road kind of things. Like, what do I do? And it just started happening for me at that point in time. Yeah.
Yeah. That's neat. And so, I mean, listening to that story, like you can tell he knows his stuff, right? He knows how to operate a business. And that's the cool thing is he took expertise building something huge like that. And then he did a fantastic job of, I introduced you as the most connected man in fitness, right? You have met and talked to more gym owners than I have. You have, you've networked with the leaders in the industry and different companies. You have really learned this business inside and out, which I think is very admirable. Because a lot of people, I mean, we know from like, I mean, anytime you use a different piece of software like Mind Body, you're like, yeah, these people have never worked inside of a gym before,
Yes,
right? Or they don't, they're missing some pieces. And you did so much due diligence to learn and to grow, and you built this thing from the ground up,
absolutely.
talking to gym owners to assess exactly what they need, and then trying it out, and then changing it, and getting more feedback and revising it, and it's become something pretty awesome. And so, how can you explain about NAAMLY? Now, I know we'll talk about it in a second because you've recently just expanded NAAMLY. So NAAMLY is the software. He's recently, we'll get into this in a second, into a full MMS, a member management system, like where it can do billing and calendars and all that kind of stuff, like a Mind Body, like a Zen Planner, like those. But really, where you started it was in that coach-client connection and messaging.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so, what in that piece? How does that work? Where like you could see this big boost in retention for people?
Yeah. No, thank you. So let me break down the what and the how, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as you started the segment initially, you were talking about, hey, you need to run the business with people, right? Like you have your staff. So for me, once I met you, Scott, and I'm going back 10 years, I put the business owner in the center initially. And I said, what does this small business owner really, really want? And we went through a lot of iterations with this, but we landed on the word loyalty. And we said the small business owner wants loyalty from both sides. He wants loyalty from his clients and he
Mm-hmm.
wants loyalty from his team members because what we learned in that process was that it was a big norm. It continues to be in the space that coaches steal, unfortunately. Trainers, when they start out on their own, they're like, where will they go? They go and dig from the very well that they're drinking from. And
Mm-hmm.
that's so unethical in one way, but I get it. Like, I'm not here to judge because you struggle to put food on the table. I guess you resort to anything and everything that is needed. So, keeping that judgment aside, it was like, how do I build that loyalty? And for that coach who does start out, if you look at that coach's mindset, initially that coach's mindset is, I don't get paid enough, right? Like the owner's
Mm-hmm.
making all the money when you're charging $100 an hour. You're like, I just get 20, 25, 30 tops bucks. So the owner's making in all this moolah, and that's what makes you go in and say, I'm doing the work, I'm entitled to this, what the hell? And then only when you become an owner, you just put on this new lens and you're like, holy shit, I now have my name on the lease. I gotta pay the equipment. I
Mm-hmm.
gotta pay the employees. Now I need to deal with all of this stuff. And no wonder, like the perspective changes really well once you put yourself in the shoes. So working back, so the our what was really what all can we do to conserve that loyalty and build that loyalty because the business owners are like, I'll bring these two people together. I just want to make sure they do what is best for my clients, but they don't steal them because that's what's going to end up happening. And that fear is always there with you, rightfully so. So how we went about it was we looked at what were the best gyms doing, right? And in some form or shape, and based off of our prior experience as well. And I say our because I have a business partner as well. He worked with American Express. He was doing a lot of stuff for them in the background. And we kind of, I built my stuff from the grounds up, even in my past company, but he brought the corporate experience in and we doubled down that way. So for us, it became, well, you not got to know your people. You got to know both sides, the buttons, right? And this is nothing new. These are acronyms that makes it easier for me to know. And I'm sharing this as well. It's like form, you need to understand the family, you need to understand the occupation, you need to understand how they recreate, and you need to understand their motivation. What is driving them to do what they do? Once you understand that, those are the levers that you can pull when you go for the next step, which is a P-Pro step, which is positive personalized reach outs, because you want to build that family. At the end of the day, it's small business means we're all here together. We're one family. You're not a name. That's the promise you're selling them. The promise that you or I was sold on when I got into the gym was like, you're not a number. You're not a lifetime person who's just going to come in, use the equipment. I'm going to coach you. I'm going to be your guide in this journey. I'll get you results. And the results themselves comes from a number of ways. And that's where the celebration comes in, right? The P Pro is positive personalized reach outs because I need celebration when I win those little wins. It could be like I did my fifth push-up, I couldn't do it, to I did my best PR, great, or none of those. I just bloody showed up. And I didn't feel like showing up, but I did. And then you give me an attaboy, it feels good. Like the human mind and body craves for that reinforcement, that positive thing. And then of course you need accountability, which was our third lever. So I'm going people, know your people, which is the form, go with P Pro, the celebrate your client, then go with accountability, because we realized the best gyms, how they would hold their clients accountable was to again marry it with their motivation, their goal. I want to run that marathon. I want to lose this for my wedding. I want to look naked, good naked, right? Whatever it is, it was more about tie it back in and say, look, you're not showing up. We agreed that you'll show up twice a week, right? You will do these things. You'll take care of your nutrition, but you're checking out, man. You're not doing this. And those are the accountability, the slap on the wrist that you can do. Then the fourth thing becomes, which is the number one indicator we realize the best gyms do, is track usage. Are the people coming in from the time they said they would be coming in? Because at the moment their usage falls, suddenly when you pay 300, 400 bucks a month, that number starts sitting out like per session. Then it's like, oh my God, I just went in 4 times this whole month. That's, even though it's a semi-private thing, I'm paying 100 bucks a session. And God forbid, if I just went 2 times, that's like 200 bucks a session. And then the mind starts like, why am I going? I'm not getting results. So the accountability leading to usage, and then just this journey, this entire journey of building those touch points, high touch points, to get them to stay longer and pay longer. So we map those out. It sounds much polished now, but trust me, when I was learning and going and traveling to a lot of gyms, I realized that it's a lot of work. People are putting post-it notes, people are writing down notes, like the best gyms. And all we did was, to your point, build it from the grounds up. We started building those capabilities in the product so that instead of a square peg in a round hole, it's like, oh my God, this is what I do. This is what I do. And it's now an underlying fabric. And that's the beauty of NAAMLY, seriously. I mean, as you can see, I'm biased, obviously, but there are people who will swear by it because it's like, it's simple. It works. These are little things, and small hinges move big doors, and that's a fact.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the great thing, is just you're such a numbers guy with that you can just analyze and assess. And that's also a brilliant thing, because God, it was like a couple months ago, you showed me this calculator too, that you can just kind of plug in the gym owner can go and we'll put this in the show notes, guys. But you can kind of plug in your numbers and see how big of an impact this can make to your bottom line.
Yes. Yes.
And it's just math. Like, we do overcomplicate the hell out of business. And what you talked about is like, you create this thing from the ground up to be as simple as possible, designed with all the obstacles we have as an owner. What do you have time for? What you don't have time for? What don't you have time for? And same thing with the staff, right? It's easy to give an employee a direction and set an expectation. It's really difficult to hold them to it, right? And you take time to make sure, inspect under the hood to make sure it's being done. I am notoriously pretty bad at that. I'm a classic visionary where I kind of want to keep moving and building. I don't want to take the time to inspect what I expect, right? And the cool thing is, since you build this solely for this, it just works so damn well.
Yep.
It works so damn well. And you said simple, and that's it. Because like, simple is the only thing that scales.
So true. And you're right. Most business owners are visionary, and you need to be visionary. You need to look out,
Hmm.
but you need an integrator, and
Yeah,
integrators are difficult to come by because you got to cross the T's and dot the I's. So how
incredibly
cool would
difficult.
it is that we built a product that helps? Like I read this somewhere. I was recently in an event, and they said, "Do you have systems that make your B players look and feel and come across as A players?" And that's really
Mm,
powerful because A players are expensive. And most small business owners can't afford A players,
yeah,
but with the right systems and the right culture and the right way to reward, you can bring that piece in. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what we've built. How do I systemize that piece so that B player sounds bad, but basically it's really what I'm getting at is that they shine and they find their purpose and like, yeah, this I
yeah,
can do this all night long and I can see tangible results.
yeah. That's excellent because that's the hardest part of what we do, and you brought it up. It's the people side.
Yes.
And it's the hardest thing because it's hard to get, especially today. It's really hard to find good talent, and it's difficult because every single gym owner has had a coach leave and pull a bunch of clients,
Yes.
always, and that's very difficult. So I mean, being a personal services business for all of us, yeah, people is the biggest weakness, the hardest thing to scale back and to buy back your time because you're vulnerable.
Yep.
And NAAMLY provides a lot of transparency with the right, because what you do want to get away from is, let's say you're instructing your staff to reach out to your members. Well, what are they doing? They're reaching out with their cell phones,
Yes.
and that can be very bad. Judging from my personal experience,
Yes.
that can easily go sideways when the relationship is with the between the employee and the client, and not necessarily with the business and the client. There's a
100%.
lot of room for conversations that are inappropriate. There's a lot of room for to have stuff go on that you don't know or see until it's too late,
Yep. Yep.
right? And you solve that where all the messaging is happening within your ecosystem,
Yes,
right?
yes. And then you can get a heads up to like, oh, people are beginning to fall off. And you and and let's look at it from the other side. I think we've been pounding on the fact that coaches do steal, which is true. But look at the other side. Like if it's
Mm-hmm.
a great business and you got great people, you want to take care of those people too. Like a
Yeah.
good coach, they want to take breaks, they want to take vacations. How do you account for them truly being able to take those breaks and get that work life elusive balance? Because you don't want them to be pinging away and talking to their clients and they're like, holy shit, I just took 3 days off and I couldn't really because I was texting away, I was messaging away, I was doing things. So just by having that boundary also helps other people in the team really work as a team. That's the whole idea. How do I get my staff to not work in silos, but work like one cohesive unit?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we found. Like we found that gym owners had so many systems and they duct taped them all. They had a phone
Yes.
system, they had an email system, they had a text system, they had personal phones with the clients, they had something for leads, then they have something for member management. It was crazy. And then they have Slack to have internal communications or Facebook Messenger. It's just one after the other, after the other, after the other. And then they have spreadsheets to maintain their tasks. And then they have another spreadsheet. It's just like, how do I get all of this to work? And my job, like, think about it from a coach's view. My job is to train, but I need to do all of this thing. A, I don't like doing it, and B, you're making my life so much more difficult, especially when most small gyms don't even have them as full timers. Like the best gyms absolutely invest in their people and say you're full time, but a lot of them are like part timers.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we interviewed coaches, they're like, I don't get paid enough to do this. I mean, why the hell am I doing this? This is not what I signed up for. I didn't sign. I wanted to train. I wanted to make an impact, not do this administrative bullshit. And sorry, I don't think I should say that, but yeah. Um,
Totally okay on this podcast.
cool. So, um, So yeah, I mean, and that was the idea. Like, just look at things from everyone's perspective, the clients, the owners, the coaches, and see how can we be that glue that brings these stakeholders together so they're
Hmm.
all singing from the same sheet of music, essentially.
That's excellent. You mentioned something too that like we all have all these systems and pieces of software that are all duct taped together. And this is really cool because it's live now,
Yep.
but you have the success of this and how many gym owners hopped on and got into NAAMLY was pretty big to the point where, you know, you had some demand and like, well, we've also got mind body or we've got this or we've got that. We love your stuff so much. Like, could you just do the rest of that?
Yeah.
You know, and so you built that, you know, we talked about it and, you know, my business is unique where I'm more session based rather than class based. And there's only one, maybe two that needs to do what needs to be done, right? It's just, there's a lot of nuances when you get into these systems that it's
100%.
like, cool, this is all great, but because it doesn't this one thing, it doesn't work for me at all. Right.
Yep.
So there's just so much, but bottom line is we all want and crave fewer damn systems and pieces of software to duct tape together. And so you have finished up and made it a full member management system where it does do billing and you can pay for it and the calendars and the classes and the appointments.
Yes.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. It took me, I kid you not, it took me a year and a half to first make that mental jump
Uh-huh.
because I would always like, this is so trite. No one likes their billing and booking system today. You speak to people who use MindBody, people who use Zen Planner, Wodify, Pike30, you talk. I've spoken to them all, and not one person said, "I like my system." And I want to be liked. Seriously, I want to be liked. I want to be like, okay, the guy means well. They made an impact. So I would talk to my mentors, and Tom Plummer being one of them. He would be like, "You're stupid, man. Come on. You will be different. You need to do this because you care. That's why it'll be different."
Hmm.
It took me an year and a half to buy that statement in my mind. And then it's like, oh my God, this cost a lot of money because the devil is in the details. It
Yeah.
seemed from the outside, booking, billing, it's okay. Just it's simple. Well, it isn't. When I would sit down and we started getting our initial folks in, the gym owners we talked to, one of them would say this, and then another would say this, and another would say that. And then Raj, my business partner, he's the tech guy. He's like, I thought this was going to be simple. So now it's like, how do I bring in simplicity and comprehensiveness with the flexibility?
Yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
what we try to solve. And we're pretty lucky that we did that. We've put in a lot of money, but we're making a huge impact. So that definitely fills the cup, and people are coming over and they're seeing how this is really built for the small group personal training. Because what we realize in this journey, Scott, is there is nothing that is built specifically for that model. I mean, there's a lot of systems that came in either for a salon or a spa, and then they are again square peg in a round hole kind of a thing. They're extended to do stuff, but there's nothing that's built for the semi-private small group personal training studios.
Hmm.
And a lot of serendipity that the people that I hung out with were in that functional fitness realm, and that's where I gathered the insights, and that's you were super helpful. Like even when you looked at when we asked you, like, hey Scott, what do you think we should be doing? You gave me this whole email of things. You took the time, you recorded yourself, and you said, I don't like this. This doesn't work. This doesn't do this. Can you see my pain? I'm like, holy moly, I do see it. And you made it tangible for us. And we're very blessed that we were able to reach out to people like yourself who obliged us with that pain, that underlying pain of it doesn't work, but it works. I'm stuck, right? So we did that, and
Hmm.
then the next step was, okay, how much do you pay for this? And everybody knows their software fees, but nobody knows how much are they really cuffing out in payment processing fees.
Yeah.
You ask anybody, and I would challenge users today, say, do you know how much do you really pay? And they're like, I don't know. It's just it is what it is. I know how much I pay for the software, and that's a lot,
Hmm.
but the hidden number is really how much are you paying in processing
Yeah.
fees? And you're even um, chained to the processor kind of stuff. Like you can only use this processor, nothing else, no bill for anything else. And we fixed that. We're like, no, that's where the money is. That's when we opened up ACH. We opened up billing.
Mhm.
We got this really cool thing. Bad analogy, but you go to a bar and you go to the bar and you say open up a tap, and at the end of the day you close out the tap, right? The reason why they're not swiping every single beer, every single cocktail, every single transaction is because there are two components to the transaction. There's a payment processing fee, and then there's a transaction fee, typically about 30 cents if you're going with Stripe. What we did, we're like, and that's where a lot of companies make money. I'm like, no, we
Mhm.
don't want to do this. This is for gym owners. Like they hardly make money to begin with. And again, there is a level like I owe my life, my health, my family's this thing based off of what health fitness has done to me. So we built in a credit limit concept. So you can say, Scott's good. He works out with me. He's an elite client. I'm going to give him $30 as as a top offer as a credit limit. So if you're swiping and you're buying protein shakes, smoothies, or protein bars, what have you, it will only count as one transaction the moment you hit 30. So it's like almost like a reserve fund, account.
Uh-huh.
And so if you were doing, let's say, 6 transactions to get to 30, I just saved you $1.50 because 30 cents times 5 is 150 compared to because it was just one transaction. Now, one person doesn't sound like a lot, but if you have 100 members, that's $150 per
Right.
month
Right.
in profit. I just saved you that much of money, and that's the gift that you keep giving yourself. And that's just one capability. We've got a lot of such things that we built in. Sorry for going down this path, but it
No, this
excites me.
this is great, and this is great, and I think you even have like a calculator online where you can like calculate some savings,
Yes.
right, from some of this drag. And we're gonna put it in the show notes, and I put it in front of me. So NAAMLY.com is the main website. So NAAMLY.com. And in the show notes, it'll have /LP/savings hyphen audit. And you can go in there in that calculator. So just look at the show notes on it, and you can see how much something like this could save you as well. And yeah, guys, it's the cool thing about Sumit and Raj and Namli is just they listen. They have learned this industry. They've taken their expertise from outside the fitness industry and learned this. Like I said, he's the most connected man in fitness. He knows more people in this industry than I know, and anybody else I know. And it's what he's built is truly incredible on multiple levels. And I highly suggest that you go to nomly.com, check it out. And then for those of you coming to the Gym Profits Summit, get your ticket. He will be there. He will have a booth and everything like that. You'll be able to chat with him. He's always like the first one there. He's the last one to leave. And any questions that you have, I mean, run it by him. He's going to speak on stage, but he will be there and he will be able to talk to you. And if you have issues with payment processors, your MMS, if you have retention issues and you want to chat with him about what you can do in your specific client journey to improve on that, he's the guy to talk to. He's
Thank you.
absolutely the guy to talk to. So you can spend a couple days with him. So come on out. He's local to me. We go back a long ways. And with the people that we're inviting to speak, these are all trusted people, right? These aren't, nobody's paying us, shit tons of money to be at this thing. That's not what it's about. We're inviting our trusted partners and the people that we know provide an amazing service, and Subin is one of them. So I'm sure. What do you guys typically do? Do you guys kind of set up some time where you can kind of preview some of the software and everything as well too? Can you book out a time to speak with somebody about it?
Yeah, absolutely. We can absolutely do that. And we just want to help. We genuinely want to help gym owners thrive. I personally believe gym owners are the true healthcare professionals of today, not the doctors. And I'm a living, breathing proof of that, right?
Yeah.
My life is infinitely better because of a gym owner, right? Like because of fitness. And so, yeah, I just want to give back from that viewpoint and help and see fellow gym owners grow and thrive.
Yeah. Well said. And thank you so much for coming on, Sumit. This is long overdue. We've been talking about this forever.
I know.
Finally, we got it on the book. So I'm really happy about this. Guys, check out NAAMLY.com and that calculator link in the show notes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember to get your tickets for the November summit, and then, yeah, do the like, subscribe thing, share this with somebody who needs to hear it. And thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Scott.
Bye now. Listen, if you're stuck and could use some advice in your business, whether you're just starting out, a veteran in the business, or expanding online or into multiple locations, you can hop on a free call with us to pick our brains at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. You can see that in the show notes. That is with numbers. Chances are we'll be able to help you get some clarity on what you need to do specifically in your business to get to the next level. It's not a sales call. We'll connect you with the right resources to help you solve your problems. But if you want to learn more about working with us, that's cool too. We can share that information should you want it. So book your call now to get out of the rat race before your week consumes you, which is easy to do at ptlegends.com/one-on-one call. That's with the number 1 on the number 1 call. You can find this in the show notes. See you soon.